This thing is ridiculous. It's the MG4 XPower and it's probably faster than whatever you're driving. And if it isn't, I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. Price and range, this thing will set you back 70 grand. That's 30 grand cheaper than a Toyota Supra. Unlike the Supra, it'll do 400 Ks per charge without a single gram of emission. And again, unlike the Supra, its 0 to 100 time is under 4 seconds. Yes, this 70 grand Econo box has the same acceleration as a Ferrari F40. It is ridiculous! Let's drive it. Now, I'm no performanceologist, but I do know that simply dropping in 320 kilowatts and 600 torquing newtons into an existing hatchback design could be a recipe for disaster. And I know what you're thinking, Gav, isn't that exactly what MG have just done? And well, yeah, they have. But they have done other stuff as well. I'll get to that in a second. Right now, let's talk about what you get for your money, starting with the battery. This has the same 64 kilowatt hour battery as the MG4 64 Essence and Excite models, but that's about it. And in terms of interior, well, I mean, look at it. It looks exactly the same as the Essence and Excite models. There's really nothing else to it. They've maybe changed the pedals, they put cooler pedals on it, and they've also bolstered the upholstery in the seats somewhat, slightly different fabric, but that's about it. Visually, from the inside, it looks identical. In other words, it's dark and grey and as bleak as my outlook on life. Now, I'm going to keep this video shorter than usual because I've already test driven the MG4 to death. I've already covered the entry-level version and the Essence 64 model. Suffice to say that this has got all the fancy gadgetry that you get from the top-line model. It's got seated heats in both the driver's seat. It's got a heated steering wheel. It's got electronically adjustable seats. It's got Androided Auto and Appalachian CarPlay. I should point out, though, that Android and Apple connectivity, well, it's cabled, so you're going to have a cable running across your dashboard. However, it does still have the MG Pilot system. That's a combination of 14 different safety features, everything from rear cross traffic alert to level 2 autonomous driving. It's doing pretty much everything you want the car to do. It's a safety cage on wheels, it's got a 5-star safety rating, and it also comes with the option of vehicle to load. So you can plug a device into your car and draw mains electricity out of this thing. So yeah, I've done this with an MG4, the entry-level version. I took it down to a wind farm and I went on a picnic. I got the kettle going, I made some toast, I used this car as if I was going camping. But you don't want to know all this stuff. That's not why you're watching this video. You want to know what makes this car different. And let's start with the exterior. It's visibly different. Yeah, sure, there's the wheels, but let's start with the paint job. That is an optional extra. All the colors you get 7 different options. Well, this is an 8th option, but it's $1,000 more. All the other colors are included in the price. This color is called Hunter Green, and it's a cool matte effect. Although, to be fair, the name Hunter Green does sound like a washed-up 90s singer. But you know what? I've got a crazy idea. My advice, if you're going to buy one of these, is to make the ultimate sleeper car. You know, a car that's really high performance but doesn't look like it. So instead of ordering Hunter Green, order the dullest, boringest color they have, which is like that 90s Japanese gray. And then take those fancy Alfa Romeo looking wheels off, put them into storage, and instead put some horrible wheels that you've stolen off a trailer onto the car. And then of course take off that cool split rear spoiler, so it just looks like the entry-level version, and boom, there is an ultimate sleeper. No one knows it goes faster than just about every car on the road. Or you could just be normal and keep the car as it is because you paid for it. Speaking of the exterior though, let's look at those wheels. It's got those thin 5-spoke Alfa Romeo-esque wheels, which do look very cool, and the big gaps between the spokes allow you to see those orange wheel caliper covers or brake caliper covers. They are just covers though, although they have uprated the brakes in this car. On the front there's 345mm ventilated discs, and on the back 340mm. Plus they've also upgraded the calipers themselves, and what that means is that this car stops. But of course, that's all just the stuff you can see. There's a lot going on that you can't see. For example, it has 2 electric motors driving this car instead of the usual just one on the back. It has a 150 kilowatt motor driving the front wheels and a 170 kilowatt motor driving the rear. And with launch control on, that's 320 kilowatts, 600 torquing newtons. That means the 0 to 100 time is a ridiculous 3.8 seconds. Well, that's theoretical though, because every time I've done a 0 to 100 time in an MG, it's always been just falling short of the official best case scenario time. So we're going to see how accurate that is very soon. As for top speed, the car is limited to 200 kilometers an hour, which, well, on New Zealand roads, it's about as useful as a blindfold on a guide dog, but it does mean that you can have a lot of fun if you take this thing on the track. Speaking of which, this car also has track mode, an app built into the car, which allows you to measure your track times, your acceleration, and of course, also your G-force. It's got a little accelerometer built in. It's pretty neat. On the roads though, this thing is as docile as a kitten. It is polite, it behaves well. I've got it in eco mode right now, and the acceleration is capped. It just feels like a powerful car. Also, the ride hasn't been ruined by stiffening up the suspension, because they put a lot of effort into that. It now rides like a Tesla Model 3. So not unbearable, it's not as hard as a hotel pillow, but it's surprisingly comfortable. They've done a good all-round job, but of course I haven't thrown it into any corners yet, so my view may change. And in a minute, I am going to test that acceleration. I'm going to test that suspension. I'm going to throw it into some corners, all without burning a single drop of petrol fuels. And that is the beauty of this car. It's running on Ecotricity electricity. Yes, here comes the plug. That was a pretty good segue though. So if you want to join Ecotricity, reduce your carbon footprint, leave the planet in a better place for your kids and save some cash, head to ecotricity.co.nz. It is New Zealand's only certified climate positive electricity provider. Why not ditch your dirty supplier and come and join the good fight? Ecotricity.co.nz. You've got nothing to lose and some cash to save. But now, let's go find some open roads. All right, this is it. 0 to 100 time. I've been waiting for this. Okay, so it's got launch control. The road is empty. I'm going to press the brake and press the accelerator and then release it and see what it's like. We're in sport mode. We're good to go. We're ready and go. Oh, acceleration is, holy cow! Bloody hell! Oh, it's really, oh, good lord, okay. Far out! Crikey! Oh, I want to do that again. Okay, hang on, let me find another slice of road. Oh, that's fun. Crikey! Brings out my inner Steve Irwin, this thing. Far out. This is madness. Okay, here we go, you ready? Clear road, yep, no cars. Okay, launch control and go. Whoa! Look at that, and boom! At 100, before you can finish the sentence, it's insane. The launch is interesting because like the front wheels, they'll grab. You can feel the front wheels struggling, and that's probably due to the tires. But then, a second later, it's full power all the way. The power just is ramped right up to maximum, and it just is unrelenting. It is violent. And one thing's interesting about this car is that, oh, yes, you saw earlier I mentioned it had track mode. Well, you can actually use this thing as a track car, believe it or not. Yeah, I found this video footage of someone putting an MG4 XPower through the Nürburgring, and I got permission to use this short clip. It is pretty impressive. Look at that thing go. Like, imagine owning a $200,000 combustion supercar and you look in your rearview mirror on the Nürburgring and there's a happy little MG4 XPower wanting to get past you because you're in the way. How would you feel? It's no wonder combustion engine lovers hate electric cars because they're just so much better. That being said, this particular one, it is a lively little sausage. Oh, far out. Gosh, maybe they even need to harden the suspension even more because they've done some great combo of keeping the ride quality, so look at this. Oh, there's those tires struggling. Did a great combo of keeping the ride quality high, but you are losing a little bit of your cornering. God, stickier tires would help such a great deal. Gosh, it's lively. You gotta know what you're doing driving this thing. And I'll be the first male car reviewer to ever admit I'm not a good enough driver to put this thing right near its limit. I don't have the ability. But if you do, you're gonna love this thing. Even the standard version of this MG4 handled well. I mean, it's got the multi-link 5-point suspension in the back. It's got the McPherson strut suspension in the front, the usual stuff. But then, they've toughened up the shocks, 25% tougher. They've put stronger anti-roll bars in the back. And they've given the suspension a tweak. Oh yeah, they've given the suspension a tweak too. That was I like this thing. They've given it damper control as well. Although the steering feel is still a little, I mean, it goes exactly where you point it. But there's no, when you put it into a hard corner, you don't feel the steering wheel fighting. The dynamic cornering software in this car is pretty impressive. They've also given it an electronic diff and torque vectoring, so it can deliver different amounts of power to each different wheel immediately, which you're gonna need because, as I said, it's pretty lively, and if you're on bumpy roads, you can feel, I can feel traction in the front right wheel there, just losing a little bit, and it's trying to correct as you go, so it's working hard. What's also really surprising is the weight of this car. It's 1.8 tons. You might be thinking that's really heavy. And that's about the same as a Toyota RAV4. In fact, the only thing that's maybe letting it down is the tires in hard cornering. They're touring tires. They're not track tires. So if you want to take this car, put it really seriously through some corners, put stickier shoes on it. But the car, look at that. Look at the acceleration. There's something weird about this car. unexpected because I'm familiar with the MG4 as just being a good all-round hatchback with just enough power to have fun. This is brutal. It's like your skinny friend suddenly showing up being able to run a 2-minute mile and bench press 400 kilos. Yes, it's impressive, but it's also a bit weird. Gosh, this thing is mad. It's absolutely ridiculous. Do you feel the diff grabbing? It is hairy, it is spicy, it is lively. It's not just a straight line performance car either. It does have fun on the corners, but you gotta know what you're doing. I love it. This thing is ridiculous. And let's end that with a spud score. Starting with performance, and come on, you saw it. 10 out of 10 potatoes there because this thing is mad. As for handling, I'm giving it 7 out of 10 purely for the fun factor. It is wild. Comfort's next, and 6 out of 10. It rides just like a Tesla Model 3 when you're not throwing it into corners. As for efficiency, my stats weren't too much worse than the official figures, probably because it's not a super heavy car, so 6 out of 10 there. Gadgetry's next, and 7 out of 10. It's got pretty much everything you need, including vehicle to load capability, and everything just works. Value's next, and I'm giving it a strangely high score of 8 spuds, even though it costs 70 grand, and that's because I can't think of any new car that's this fast for this price. Charging speed is next, and at 140 kilowatts DC peak, it's above average for 2024, so 6 spuds there. As for style, I asked you on social media what you thought and you hated it, but this is my video, so you're all wrong. 7 out of 10, it looks fantastic. Is it fit for purpose? Well, if you want to have fun on a budget, duck yes. This car is the most fun I've had since I started my OnlyFans account. I was close enough. The XPower's not just a performance car though, it's a family car too. It can even tow half a ton, which is almost useful. Its warranty goes for 7 years, unlimited Ks. I mean, this should have legacy car makers concerned. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 and it has earned it. And of course PSC, and I already know the MG4 has a PSC of 48 tubers, that's just above average, so 6 out of 10 spuds there, which gives a total spud score of 71. And there you have it, that's the MG4 XPower in a nutshell. It is by far the best value, high performance car you can buy today. It is brutal. That being said, if you do end up buying one of these things, your kids are gonna beg and plead for you to let them drive it. But remember when you were 17? Because I know when I was 17, I was the best driver in the world and no one could have convinced me otherwise. Don't let your kids drive it. They'll promise they'll behave. They'll promise they'll be careful. Do not let your kids drive it. This is a car for adults. This is a car that needs a warning sticker.